really excited for the video we have today. We're gonna make a photo slider using HTML and CSS only, and then we're gonna use some jQuery and JavaScript to add a little bit of a zoom function. I'll actually show you how it looks like. So right now you see we have a photo gallery, and you can zoom in to the photo, to the girl's face and stuff like that. And what you can do is you can use the slider to slide through different photos, and the zoom function still works just fine. And the zoom function still works just fine. And you can click on the numbers as well, and you can see the zoom function. It works. It's right there. It's great. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, it's working fantastic. I hope you're really excited to learn what we're gonna do today. Now, before I start, I just want to bring to you 3 different options. First of all, you can just use the template that I'm going to provide. The files for this tutorial will be in the description below, and it will look something like this. And it's a very simple project, and I'll show you how to use it such that you can just replace the images here to be whatever you want them to be. And then you're ready to use the template anywhere in a front-end environment. If you wanted to implement this, maybe to impress your friends or something like that, I'll teach you how to do it. It's very simple, and you can just change the images that in a way that I'll show you how to change them. So that's the easiest option. Now the second option is to just learn the zoom function. So basically, sometimes you want to implement a zoom function for your images, and I'm going to teach you how to do it in this tutorial, and that's pretty simple and straightforward as well. So if you say have an image on an HTML page and then you want to know how to implement zoom for it, it's very simple to do it, and I can show you that. And so that's the second option. Now the third option is to learn how to do everything, and that's the most complicated part, because to do this the way I did it, well, I didn't do it all by myself. I used some files that I found on Google. What you're gonna have to do is that you're gonna have to implement a photo slider in CSS only without JavaScript, just because you don't want to mess with the jQuery that is being used to implement the zoom function. So that's going to be the most complex part if you want to learn the third option, which is to do everything, create the template and then implement the zoom option. Although I would say that yes, it is the most satisfying, and if you want to stay around for that, go ahead. Now I think everybody should learn the first and second option, because they are pretty easy and everybody should pretty much do it. And if by that point you have the time and the interest, you can learn the third option. Alright, so with that said, let's get going with the first option. So after you download the files in the description below, it's on GitHub, the link should be in the description below. What you're going to want to do is open the gallery.html file, and you'll see this particular slide. And then you're going to want to open the gallery.html file with your code editor. So I'm gonna be using Visual Studio Code for this. And as I open it, hold up. So I'm gonna open a new workspace, and I'm gonna choose desktop. I'm gonna edit, and it should be right there. I'll click on gallery, which is where your files will be, and gallery.html. So now, the key to changing this is to find the divs called slides, and inside the slides div, there are 4 divs for each slide. And if you wanted to add another slide, I'll show you, but right now we'll just focus on how to change the images. So you can see, if you understand HTML, img src equals to img, this refers to the folder, and this refers to the image. And if you go back to the folders right here, the img folder, you can see that I have placed 10 images inside, and you can change them. So right now we have pick 5, which is this picture. We have pick 6, which is this picture. We have pick 9, which is this picture, and pick 10, which is this picture. You're free to change it or add your own. I'm actually going to change it to pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, and pick 4. And what should happen is it should change to this picture, this picture, this picture, and this picture. And if I refresh the page, you see it's changed. And the zoom function still works just fine. And what you really want to do is make sure you just change the photo to the corresponding one in the IMG folder. So if you want to change it to your own photos, it's very simple. Just add your own photos to this folder, come in here, and then change it to the name of that image. Don't change anything else, and you can change the photos. And you can change the photos, and you can use this template just the way it is. Now, if you want to add a new slide, it's not that complicated. It's pretty easy. What you want to do is copy and paste this slide 4 thing once. Change the name to slide 5. Copy and paste this slide 4 thing another time. Change the thing to slide 5. I'm just going to use the 5th image in this case. And now if you go back to the slider. Okay, sorry. Change the name here as well to instead of 4, change it to 5. And now when you reload, what should happen is that now there should be 5 slides. And it should work just fine. And you can use this slider as well. Alright. Now, the thing you might realize is that on the 5th picture, hold up, there won't be the zoom function. And if you want to add that, all you gotta do is copy and paste this thing once more and change it to slide 5. And now if you reload the page and you go to the 5th picture, the zoom should be right there. Cool? Alright. So we're done with the first option already. We've done this. Just use the template. Right, so the second option, where we'll just learn the zoom function. So what I want you to do is go to Google and Google Jquery Zoom plugin. And click on the Jack Elmore link. I'll put a link in the description below. And just download the files. Great, I'm gonna save it on my desktop. Okay, so now that we're done with that, my bad. You can close this, unzip the files, and that should give you all the files you need. I'm just gonna run you through how to install the zoom function on one of your projects. So what I'm gonna do is create a new folder. And I'll call it Zoom Picture Tutorial, because that's what this is. And now what you're going to need is you're going to copy and paste this file in here. Okay. Then you're going to go back to Visual Studio Code. Open up the folder I gave you, Zoom Picture Tutorial, and you should see that file right there. Now I want you to create a new, go over that folder, right click, create a new file, and we'll call it zoom.html. And now the file should be there, click on it, open it, and there you should have it. So there's nothing there right now, so I'm going to go to Unsplash, and I'm going to find a picture that I want to use. This looks pretty cool. Not the best picture in the world, but you know. So I'm going to save it in the same folder that I am going to be using, and I'm going to just call it pic. Okay, good. So now that picture should be there. That's great. Now next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create some HTML, and I'm going to create an HTML file. And still nothing there. That should be correct. I'm going to create a head, and I'm going to create a title, and I'm just going to call it traffic lights. And that should change. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the image. So I'm going to create a body tag, I'm going to create a span tag, and I'm going to create an image src equals to traffic.jpg. Sorry, pic.jpg. and I should see the image come up. Okay, it's too big, so I'm gonna make it a lot smaller. I'm gonna give it a width of 555 and a height of 400. Okay, so it's a little bit laggy because I think the file is really big, but no worries on that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import the jQuery file, which is this one. So what I'm going to do, well actually before I import the jQuery file, I'm going to need to import the main jQuery library. So that's very simple. We just go to jQuery cdn link, and I think the first one that comes out should work. Okay, click on uncompressed. No, not this one. Sorry, my bad. You can actually just use this one. I'll put a link to it in the description below. But basically you want the link. So just copy this and put it right there. Okay. Next thing you're gonna do is link to that jQuery file and just put src equals jquery.zoom.js. And you should be done. The next thing you're gonna do is add a class here so that we can reference it later, and an ID of x1. And you'll see why very soon. Next thing, you're gonna type another script. Oh, by the way, what these two links do is that they import all the functions within this .js files. So there are a ton of functions here. By putting a script source, you're enabling us to use it within our JavaScript. So what you want to do is type the $, type document.ready function, and then type the $ again, type #1 because you're referencing this particular ID, and .zoom. And now, okay, it takes a while. Okay, you can see that something is happening, right? Even though it's not particularly obvious. Okay, so it's not quite what we want, but no worries on that. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the header. Within the header, you're gonna write style. You're gonna use this class, reference it here with .zoom, and then type the word display : inline block. And now when you refresh the page, you should see a zoom. Now if you just go back to the normal size, you can see that the zoom is huge, but it kind of works. So this is the kind of thing you're gonna have to play around with. You go to the zoom file and you change the magnify to 0.3. It was previously at 1. If you change it to 0.3, you gotta test it out, and you can see that the zoom function has been reduced significantly. You can change it to 0.1 as well, and it should work. Oh, it's too small now. You can barely see the zoom. And you can see that the zoom function is working just fine. So again, these files will also be in the description below. And basically, just to recap, I imported the file in. Yeah, it's now displaying, the picture is displaying on the page, the pic.jpg. It has a class of zoom, an ID of x1. Alright, and then I give it a style of inline block to make sure that it stays within the line and that the zoom thing doesn't create the picture outside. And then I referenced the function, but with this particular jQuery code, $document.ready. Then I called the function. I referenced the ID, the span with an ID of x1, and I gave it the function .zoom. And now when I hover over it, you can see that I'm zooming into the picture. I'll put these files in the description below, so don't worry about it. And with that, we're done with the second option. We're going to go to the last option, which is to learn everything. So now we'll go back to the gallery folder that I've included. And basically, once you download the files from the description below, from the link, what you should see are these 4 files, and I'll actually delete these 2 files. Alright, so this file is the same jQuery library that I put in the that we use for option 2. And the images, I'm not going to change them. You can change them to whatever images you want, or you can just use this ones. It's up to you, really. So now we're in the gallery folder, and now we're going to create 2 files. Obviously, it's gallery.html, which are the 2 files we deleted, but I'm going to show you how to create them. Okay, great. So in the gallery.html file, what you want to do, first of all, is just to create a normal HTML document. So, hold up. Yep. Okay. Then, following that, what you want to do is link to the style sheet and give it a title. So, type head, link rel equals to style sheet, type equals to text/css, href equals to gallery.css, and close that, give it a title. Let's just call it gallery. Okay, now, oops, click on gallery and click gallery.html. I'm just going to put it here. You should see a title gallery. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the body. We're going to create a div, and the main div has a class of slider. And then we're going to give it a href of /1. So what this does is that when you click on, this creates a clickable link. So when you click on one, it should go to the link with a # of //-1, /-1. So basically any element on the page with the ID of /-1, which there should only be one element of because it's an ID, once you click on this link, you'll go to that particular element. So what we're gonna do next, we're just gonna copy and paste this a couple of times. And now we're gonna change this to 2, gonna change this to 3, and we're gonna change this to 4. Okay. After that, what we're gonna do is create another div, and we're gonna give it a class of slides. So basically, just to remind y'all, this was for the entire slider. This was, the navigation or the links, and then this is for all the slides within the slider. So we're gonna create another few more divs inside. The first one will give it an ID of slide-1. So basically, once you click on this link here, you'll go to this div here. Now we're gonna create the image, and you might notice that it looks similar to option 2. We'll create a span, give it a class of zoom, and then after that create give it an img src of img/pic5. That's what I'm going to be using, and width of 555, and a height of 320, and an alternate text, of whatever you want, but I'm just going to call it girl. Okay, and we're just going to close it right there. After that, we're just going to copy and paste this a couple more times until you have about 4 slides. Change the ID and change the picture. Okay, you can use whichever 4 pictures you want, by the way. These are just ones that I prefer. Okay, so now when you refresh the page, and you see the navigation as well. So when you click on 4, you notice it goes down, and if you zoomed in a lot, what you see is that when you click on 2, it goes down, scroll back up, click on 3, it goes down, click on 4, it goes down, just like I said it would. Now we're actually done with the HTML. We'll come back and add the jQuery at the end because it's pretty simple. We're going to talk about the CSS now because this is kind of complex. Again, if you don't fully understand anything, don't worry about it. You'll understand this as you use the CSS library more, but I'll do my best to explain in this tutorial. So first thing you type is .slider, and then you give it a width of 800 px. So this is the entire slider. Give it a text align of center. What this will do is center the navigation or the hrefs, these things here, and then you give it a overflow of hidden. Change things a bit. Not particularly clear what happened, but you can see that this thing was centered. Now the next thing you do is you click dot slides, which references all the slides. You give it a display of flags. Basically, this will allow it to be in like an X shape. Give it an overflow X of auto, and now give it a scroll snap type of X mandatory. Now, to make it scrollable or mobile, give it a scroll behavior of smooth. What this will do is allow the user to scroll on her mobile website. Give it a -WebKit overflow scrolling of touch. And now if you just refresh, you can see that it's already changed a lot. When you scroll to the left and right, you can see that it's changed pretty significantly. Okay. Now, next thing you want to do is reference the scroll bar. We're just gonna modify the scroll bar a little bit. We're gonna give it a margin top of 5px, a width of 10px, and a height of 10px. Next, we're gonna type dot slides, and we're gonna dot WebKit scroll bar, and we're gonna reference that thumb, and we're gonna give it a background of black. We're gonna give it a border radius of 10px. Now we're just gonna refresh, and you can see that it's kind of changed a little bit. So you can see there's one very clear scroll bar here that you can use, and that's going really well. Now we're gonna reference the scroll bar a little more. We give it a transparent background, a transparent background. Okay, nice. Now we'll reference the diffs to make it look a little nicer. So dot slides, and then what you want to do is put a greater than sign, and we'll type diff. Basically, this will reference all the diffs within the slides class. We'll type scroll snap align, and we'll give it a line of start, and that should change things quite a bit. Hold up. Okay, maybe not. And then we'll give it a flex shrink of 0, a width of 800 pixels, a height of 500 pixels, a margin right of 50 pixels, a border radius of 10 pixels, a background, and we'll give it this color, which is white, and we'll give it a transform origin of center. Basically, this lets the slide know where to center in on the picture. We'll give it a transform and scale it with a ratio of 1. You can change this later on, but we'll stick with that for now. Give it a transition, how long it takes to go from one slide to the next, of transform 0.5 seconds. A position of relative, a display of flex, justify content, center. This will center the images. Align items, center. Sorry, this will center the diffs, this will center the images. And then we'll give it a font size of 100 pixels, even though there are no fonts. So you can see that now it looks a lot better, right? Awesome. Fantastic. And we could actually stop here, but I think we'll change things a little bit more. Okay, so now next thing we're going to do is we'll edit the image, give it an object fit of cover, and we'll give it a position of absolute, top 0, bottom 0, left 0, width of 100%, height of 100%. Oops. And that should fill the whole image. Oops, kind of laggy, but yeah, you get how it is. And now if you click on this, it should work as well. Nice. Next thing we're gonna do is we're going to modify the way the links look, which is basically this part. Oops. We'll give it a display of inline flex, a width of 1.5 rem, a height of 1.5 rem, a background of white, a text decoration of none, align items center, justify content center, border radius, hold up, give me a sec, 50%, a margin of 0, 0, 0, and okay, you know what, sorry, 0.5 rem, 0, hold up, and a position of relative. Okay, now it looks a lot nicer, doesn't it? Next, we'll modify how the links look when they're active. So now basically once you click on it, it should look a little bit different. Hold up. Yeah, it's kind of small so you can't see it, but you can see that it's kind of magnified slightly. Hold up, give me a sec. Yeah, okay. And then so basically when you hover over it, you'll have a background of this color. Nice. Next thing you need to do is type HTML, body to modify everything, and we'll give it a height of 100%, overflow of hidden, and basically this will make everything a lot bigger. Now, just for the body though, we'll give you a display of flex, align items center, justify content center, the background linear hyphen gradient to bottom, (748ABE2) 556 3DE, and we give the font family of Ropa Sans. Hold up. And oops. And okay, basically Ropa Sans is not supported, so you can just put sans serif. Okay. And there you go. Okay, great. So now we're gonna add in the zoom function. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go down to the bottom of the body in the HTML. Below it is where we're gonna add everything. First thing we're gonna do is add the Jquery library. So as previously what we did, we went to Google Jquery CDN link. A lot of this should work actually, but I'm just gonna go to the W3 Schools one. And then copy and paste this thing here. Next thing we're gonna do is jquery.zoom.js, and then we're gonna create a final script and then just as previously what we did, document.ready function. Oops. And then we're gonna type in the functions slide-1 dot zoom, and now basically the ID, and then basically we're just gonna copy and paste that for slides 2, 3, and 4. And now when we go back and refresh, we click on 1. Hold up, why is it not working? Should be working. What's going on? Let's click view page source. Looks fine to me. Looks like we have a slight issue. Let's inspect. Document is not defined. Oh wait, that's a typo. Okay, so again, let's refresh this. Now there should be a zoom. Okay, great. So as you can see, there's a slight issue with the zooming. It's a little bit too big, so we're gonna decrease it to 0.2 in the magnify. Click on the zoom, go to magnify, it should be right here. Refresh it, and you can see that the zoom has been decreased significantly. Now maybe the zoom right now is a little bit too little, so we'll actually make it about 0.3. Okay, looks a lot better. Wow, pretty sick. Nice zooming. Now we're actually done already, so you've actually completed the third option. So congratulations. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.